This is episode 19 of the SOC Level 2 pathway in TryHackme, and in today's episode we are going to finish up our detection engineering module. And we've gone through all of these things and we have finally ended up at SOAR, which is a very popular concept in security analysis and security engineering. And SOAR stands for Security Orchestration, Automation, and Response. And this is where a lot of the things that are used or done using scripting or using automation systems or maybe even AI are going to be done, because it's all centered around automation, response, and orchestration. So I'm actually very excited about this one. I think it's going to be more of an introductory type of video, and we're now going to be going into the nitty-gritty and the deep details of setting up security automation and orchestration. But overall, I'm very excited about learning more about it, and hopefully you are too. My name is Hank Hackerson, your host for today, and to get more videos like this one, or to get access to the rest of our content, for example, SOC Level 1 or Pentest Plus or Junior Pentester, any of those good things, I do encourage you to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so that you get notified the next time that a video comes out. And this video and this channel is sponsored by our premier YouTube community, which is Hackaholics Anonymous. This is going to be the premier YouTube community for security professionals and hackers, and you get a lot of perks for being a part of this community. I do encourage you to go check that out. The link to that is in the description below, and there are things like bug bounties that we collaborate on and automation scripts that we give away and a lot of really good stuff. So I don't want to take too much time away from this video, but I do encourage you to definitely check it out, because Hackaholics Anonymous will be the premier community for security professionals and hackers, and I would love to see you in there as well. Now, without further ado, let us jump into the security orchestration and automation room. Alright, so there's not a surprise about security attacks and security events just becoming more complex as hackers get better at doing their hacking activities, and the sophisticated capabilities that they have and the tools that they use and the tools that they build, and they combine their forces and they join teams to be able to do certain things, and those are called advanced persistent threats, and they're funded by gigantic companies or funded by countries to pull off a lot of the things that they do. And as these things become more complex and as the attacks and the security events become more sophisticated, the challenges that are raised for people like us, which is people in security defense, and even if you want to be in offensive security and if you want to be a pen tester, even those types of people, you still have to know what all of your adversaries are going to be doing. And the challenges that have brought up for us for justifications for performing security differently. So this is essentially what we're going to be talking about in today's video, is how can you perform security differently? And in this particular room, that's what we're going to be talking about. And one of those big things is SOAR. And SOAR is the next level to SIM. So security information and event management is essentially the tools that we use. These security information event manager tools are the tools that we use to manually look at the log files that are organized and analyzed. The very step prior to that would be you using the command line and parsing through these, thousands of lines of log events that are happening, and you trying to manually find that through the log itself. The next level up would be to use a SIM, where you feed it a bunch of different log files, and the SIM brings you the events of interest, the notable alerts that come up. And then from there, you look at those events and you manually orchestrate or you manually investigate, right? And then the next level up from that is using SOAR tactics and SOAR tools to automate what is done with the SIM tool. And this is the highest level up when it comes down to security administration, security analysis, security engineering. This is kind of the be all and end all that you want to get to, is to be a SOAR developer, right? And, it's not done with just one set of tools. That's the thing. It's like there are a lot of great tools that try to make it a one-stop shop, but you still need to know a variety of different skill sets to be able to pull it off. And that's the thing that, I really don't think we're going to go into the deep depths of this. This is an introduction to SOAR more than anything else, but we should be able to touch on some key topics so that you really get a good grasp of it, a good understanding of it. And then from there, I'm sure we're going to, in future modules, we're going to go deeper into it so that we can really understand how to actually be a good SOAR developer or SOAR analyst. And yeah, I'm honestly very, very excited about it because this is important to me as I go through my career and as I go through my personal development. It's very important to me. So hopefully it's also important to you. So these are our learning objectives for today. So we want to expand the knowledge of security operations through orchestration, automation, and response. As I mentioned, we want to familiarize ourselves with the common SOAR workflows and then assemble a malware investigation workflow. That's what we're going to be doing today. The prerequisites are the Security Operations Room, Junior Security Analyst Intro, and Intro to Detection Engineering. And all of these have videos on the channel already. So if you just go to our channel homepage and click on this magnifying glass right here, you can search for whatever room that you want to find or whatever type of content that you want to find. And the hashtags should be able to take you there, and the description in the video should be able to take you there. So, if you do Intro to Detection Engineering, you'll find the video to Intro to Detection Engineering, right? So that's essentially how you can navigate all of the content that's inside of this channel, because as the days go by, we just get more and more content inside this channel. And a lot of the content is also user recommended. So some of it is, being recommended by the actual people who are coming from our community and requesting videos. And then some of it is coming from TryHackme. And then when I have occasional ideas where I'm like, this would be kind of cool to talk about, I'll create videos like that as well. So you got to get a little bit good at navigating all the content that's on the channel, because it's just only going to get more. And that's it for our introduction. So let's talk about the Security Operations Center. If you don't already know, but we're going to talk about the evolution of SOCs and all the other stuff associated with them. All right, Security Operations Centers, SOCs, have become visualized as a large action-packed room with threat alerts from numerous monitors. So imagine like a big wall of monitors basically, and analysts going back and forth trying to figure out what just happened and then trying to contain the threat that's going on. But that, all of that being said, there's this comment right here that says no two SOCs are the same, and they're all set up differently. And that's very important to understand. So depending on what job you get, or depending on what your previous experience is, if you go into another security operations center, it's most likely that it's not going to look like the last one that you were at. The basics are that the SOC, the Security Operations Center, the SOC is meant to provide a location to centralize crisis communication and provide monitoring capabilities. And it could be for a physical infrastructure, logical, or network infrastructure. But that's basically it. You have a central location for communicating and for monitoring. That's what a SOC is for. The whole goal of all of that is to protect the assets of the organization and the company. And again, that could be physical assets. It could be the people. It could be computers. It could be networks. It could be gold, right? There could be a variety of different things that you're trying to protect. So to understand this, there's the Security Operations Room, again, that there's a video for that you can just go find by searching through the channel, and you'll be able to find that information. SOCs have evolved over time, as you can kind of imagine. There's new technology being added all the time. The first generation was basically handled by IT operations teams, so the tasks were a lot more blended. The main functions included device monitoring, managing antivirus security and log collection, which was limited and often referred to in the event that an incident was reported. So this is after the fact, right? So they weren't able to catch what was happening in real time. They responded to it after the incident was reported. The second generation is when SIM tools emerged, and they allowed you to be a little bit more live in your detection and be real-time response. And this was event correlation, that it connected various log events to each other. So the authentication log versus the firewall log versus the network security log. all of those things combined, the events of those various logs were correlated together so that you can kind of get on one screen an understanding of all the events that were happening instead of going manually through all the different logs yourself and trying to piece things together, right? The added aspects included event correlation, syslog collection, and case management. This meant that the security threat management was the main focus and aimed at correlating events to establish leaks and provide analysts with visuals that would assist them in investigating incidents. So it's still used in investigation of incidents, but it allowed for a real-time threat detection and threat management as well. Third generation expanded the use of SIMs by adding vulnerability management and incident response capabilities. So now you're graduating from threats to detecting vulnerabilities and managing those things and trying to patch them in advance, and of course responding to incidents. And the fourth generation is advanced security capabilities, including the data security, data enrichment. And with this, the SOC can analyze large amounts of data to uncover threats in real time. As an example, the threat intelligence feeds that have become valuable to SOC teams, expanding the horizons of security investigation. So threat intelligence feeds are from third-party sources. So it could be from MITRE, it could be from CVSS or CVE, it could be from a variety of organizations, right? So NIST, right? So a lot of these different places can give you a feed of threat intelligence that you can use to combine with the intel that you're getting from your current company or from your environment, and then see where the overlaps come in and use the threat intelligence feed to see if something in your organization is shady and you need to pay attention to it. The book is Security Operations Center, Building, Operating, and Maintaining a SOC. And you can definitely learn more about the SOC generations inside of that book. And then we have the SOC capabilities. So the whole idea is to enhance security incident handling through continuous monitoring and analysis. And this is done through having the right amount and implementation of people. So you can have 1,000,000 people, but if they don't know what they're doing, or if they're being misused, for lack of a better word, if those sources, these resources are misappropriated, then you're not going to get the best out of your people. So it's the right number of people and the right implementation of people and processes and technologies that can support the capabilities of the SOC and the goals of the business in general. So the first one is to monitor and detect. This one's kind of pretty self-explanatory. You want to monitor what's going on, detect if anything bad has happened. The next one is to respond to an incident. So if something has happened or is happening, then you want to be able to respond as best as you can in real time, or you want to have the information to respond to during your investigation after the incident has happened and you've contained it, and now you're trying to figure out what just happened and how you can remove the malware, for example, or stop the malicious process, for example, shut down the infected endpoints, so on and so forth. Threat intelligence would be getting a constant flow of data, and this is what we kind of just touched on. So the SOC team is always updated on the latest developments and have the best available sources to address emerging threats. And a lot of times, threat intelligence doesn't come from NIST or MITRE, because the stuff that ends up on NIST and MITRE has already been tested and proven, and there's been reports written on it, and people have come together and they agreed to say, okay, we're going to put this on NIST now. So a lot of times threat intelligence can come from within the organization itself. Other people inside of your organization where they detected something or they noticed that something was going on and they're like, yeah, this is what's been happening. And you get that information much faster than what ends up on NIST. There's a place called The Hive, which is essentially kind of like a social media platform for security. And people go on The Hive and they create these various cases that people can go and get their intelligence from as well, because that's coming from the actual SOC teams that are putting this up and saying, hey, this is what just happened to us. Or if you go to Virus Total and you read through the details of what happened with people and the information that people give from what happened to them. These are the various types of resources that are not as official as MITRE or NIST, but they are still very valid and they can keep you up to date and maybe even Twitter. Like just you don't know where the threat intelligence is going to come from. That's why you want to be involved with a variety of different sources to see where you can gather your intel and keep yourself up to date, just in case something happens that's not on MITRE. And it may not be considered a 0-day vulnerability, because technically, if it doesn't exist on these official platforms, it could be considered 0-day, but it may not be 0-day because somebody else could have actually ran across it, and they may already have some kind of an approach to deal with it. And now you have to just you have to be good at gathering that intelligence. Log management is fairly simple. You want to maintain and review all the logs, all the network connections and activities within the organization. With all this, the baselines for regular activities can be established, and then you provide evidence for forensic investigations. Recovery and remediation, again, to be able to recover the systems or recover the information, remediate when incidents occur or if anything has happened that you need to fix. Remediation is more on fixing and addressing things. Recovery is if you've lost services or if you've lost data, you want to be able to recover that. And then if you lost money, that could be a piece of it as well. The SOC provides effective communication with affected parties to ensure that the incidents are addressed, and then security process improvement, which basically means that you want to improve your current security processes and your playbooks and all of that stuff. And post-mortem investigation, that I always refer to that as death, but I guess in this case we can also use it as a term for security analysis and incident response, to be able to find the areas that you want to work on. That's all based on the improvement of your security process. These are the challenges that are in SOCs, okay? Alert fatigue is a real thing. Alert fatigue basically happens when there's so many different alerts that will come in and you just don't have enough eyeballs to address everything. That's why the previous thing where it's like you want to have enough number of people, but you want to implement the use of those people and processes and tools correctly. Alert fatigue is one of these things where when you configure your security tools, you want to configure them to give you the right number of alerts and reports. You don't want to get bombarded with a bunch of data, and that's also considered to be a false positive. So you get a bunch of irrelevant alerts that come up that have nothing to do with anything that you're dealing with, and it was just something that the system was like, oh, hey, this is an event of note, when in actuality it was nothing. It was nothing that was important enough to get to the SOC center, and now somebody has to invest their time and energy and bandwidth to try to process what just happened. Human beings are limited on bandwidth. We can't address everything at once. And that's a very real thing that happens in SOC centers because there's just too much data coming in. Disparate tools means that when a security tool has been deployed without the integration within an organization. So security teams have to navigate through firewall logs and rules that are independent from endpoint security logs. And this leads to an overload of tools. So you just have excess number of tools that now you have to manage, which is essentially very similar to this problem. You just have too many things that you have to manage. Then there's the manual processes. So a lot of things aren't documented, leading to a lack of means to address threats. And most people rely on established tribal knowledge. And we just talked about that, right? The stuff that's been already established and it's done by experienced analysts and it's already in some kind of a database that you can refer to. But most of those things are never actually available, and that's what we rely on. So you have to do things manually, and you have to go learn the hard way, essentially. And then there's the talent shortage, which is why you and I are in this business. For the most part, you and I are in this because we understand that there is a really big need for cybersecurity professionals. And when there isn't enough people, teams have to expand and recruit people, and it's not easy to do because a lot of people will say that they know what they're doing when in actuality they don't. And they just, I don't know, read something or watched a video or something like this and, oh yeah, now I know cybersecurity. It's like, nah, bro, you have to have years of experience to actually be considered somebody that needs to do this. That's why I like TryHackme so much, because you have, like, you go through these labs that actually give you the experience to use these tools, and you can then address all of the stuff that you are putting on your resume as, yes, I have used Splunk. Yes, I have used and I know how to investigate using Kibana and Elk Stack, and I know how to do yada yada yada. That's very, very important. It's not just about reading and learning something through a video and just not applying any of this stuff. So even if you don't have access to TryHackme, I do recommend that you go download Elk-Stack and Kibana and get it for free, because it is an open source tool, and you can install Logstash and Kibana and just use those tools, so you at the very least know what they're like, so that you can get it in your bones, in the cells of your body, to actually develop your experience instead of just knowledge base. That's very important. So here are our questions. It says, under which SOC generation, SOC generation, did SIM tools emerge? And that would be the second generation. How would you describe the experience of having an overload of security events being triggered within a SOC? And we call that alert fatigue. Oh, I misspelled that. There we go. All right, cool. Those were our two questions for the second task, technically. And now we're going to jump into security orchestration, automation, and response. So we understand why security operations need orchestration, automation, and response. All right, as we've already established, security operations face a lot of challenges, and analysts are usually overwhelmed by these types of things. So security teams would love to be able to bring all of these things into a single platform or interface, making the integration of all of their existing tools possible. And this is where SOAR comes in. It allows you to integrate and combine all of your tools into one central location, so that you can respond accordingly and analyze threat intelligence efficiently, automate response flows, triage incidents, etc., etc., etc. So this is truly the power of SOAR and security orchestration automation. So first, security orchestration. Just like organizing a musical orchestra, security orchestration is an act of connecting and integrating security tools and systems into seamless workflows. This streamlines processes and information flow, effectively helping organizations handle security events. Orchestration works in tandem with automation, which we'll be talking about in a little bit. So what's important to understand is that it chains together individual security tools, tasks, processes, to make them work together towards the same tune or goal in this particular case. So if this is our security orchestrator right here, this little guy in the hoodie, and there's all of this information that is coming in, we need to be able to bring all of it in one location, so that we can properly analyze and respond and investigate. So you see this stuff from identity access management, case management, intelligence feeds. These are your firewalls, and these are bugs, and I guess these are ideas right here, and a variety of different sources: endpoint detection, security information event management, a SOC analyst, right? So these are all the places that intel can come from, and you need to be able to orchestrate so that you can properly respond to it. Once you have your sources orchestrated and integrated, then repeatable patterns will show up. And then that's where automation comes into play. And it's must have, meaning it will save so much time and energy, and it's kind of silly for a company to not use it or not have it. And this could be complex tools, information workflows, actual Python automation, a lot of things. And a lot of these tools that have already been pre-made are automation tools. They already have this scripting language, and they have playbooks, and they have templates that you can download and just install to automate and respond to certain things. It's actually, honestly, it's so freaking useful. I think Red Canary was one that I was interviewed about for a job, and I didn't know enough about it, so I didn't get the job. But They mentioned that this is the tool that we use, and we would very much like it if you knew how to do this, so on and so forth. So it was very important. So automation goes beyond just laying out the necessary action steps to handle a security event and offer preventive measures. It's meant to provide additional insights into threat response and allow security teams to adopt and customize their response workflows to reduce handling time. So it's meant to save time and energy, essentially. Security response is when everything has been detected or something's been detected and it's been analyzed. Now you got to respond to it. So there needs to be a triage that's been set in motion to avert the damages from any adversary. This requires analysts to identify the appropriate steps to contain and remediate the threat. With the help of automation, incident response processes can be executed seamlessly. And this is what's beautiful about the connection of all of these things. You orchestrate all the data, you automate what you can automate, and then you can respond immediately without you even having to pull a trigger. The system just responds for you because you already pre-established your triage and response mechanisms, and it just knows what to do and it'll respond for you. So SOARs versus SIMs. SOARs are compared with SIMs, but they are not the same thing. SIMs are deployed alongside SOARs. And so this is where it's important to understand. So centrally collected logs and event data from all these different sources goes into this SOAR. So the SIM centralizes and collects the data. The SOAR gets all of the threat feeds from the SIM and then does whatever it can with it, right? So SIM generates the alerts, collects the security alerts is what SOAR does. It collects the security alerts and intelligence using a centralized platform. There's more human intervention that's required with SIMs to manage the rules and so on and so forth. But in SOARs, the orchestration and automation ensures less human intervention because it's going to respond for you. That's where the automation part comes in. The SIM limits the response workflow. The SOAR employs workflows and playbooks to ensure end-to-end response automation. So this is what I meant referring to the templates that are available for SOARs, is that they exist already, and depending on what type of threat intelligence has been gathered, depending on what type of incident is going on, it'll respond according to the pre-established playbooks and workflows. And then you can build your own as well, but any decent company will have playbooks and workflows, and it just makes it very, very easy to set up, or relatively easy to set up and deploy immediately. So playbooks and runbooks is essentially what the SOAR depends on. So a security playbook is a structured checklist of actions used to detect, response, and handle threat intelligence. Another common terminology is a standard operating procedure. These things can also be a part of the SOC themselves, but it's also something that a SOAR solution will also use. Playbooks assist SOC teams in having end-to-end process of handling routine incidents and establishing metrics for response. We can look at these in the next task. The other hand, we have runbooks, which are defined procedures to achieve a certain outcome and have a high degree of automation. Runbooks can include human decision elements, but they can also just run by themselves. So the workflow is this, right? So the SOAR detects the event detected by either the network intrusion detection or the SIM. It enriches that threat intelligence. So once it gathers the information from feeds, then it'll provide context to it. It'll have additional context about that event, such as the tactics that were used, the techniques, procedures, and this could be from MITRE, for example. Then the SOC analyst can use that data to conduct a deeper investigation, right? So the enrichment of the data that was just detected from the SIM, then the SOC analyst can actually make a decision according to what's going on. The SOAR would then analyze that event and give you a triage, meaning give you some kind of potential and severity of what's going to happen to the organization if this continues. And that'll reduce the mean time to detection, meaning the average time to actually detect something and the average time to respond to something, to a security event. So the SOAR helps already. It just helps you with the enrichment and to tell you, hey, this is what we think is going on. So you don't have to do as much investigation. You just say, oh, okay, based on this information, I can act accordingly, instead of you having to continue or go and do your own investigation or try to find triage opportunities. Then there's the response, right? So automated actions based on the runbooks. So to contain the threat, to mitigate any damage, it could be something that's triggered the isolation of the compromised system or blocked the identified malicious IP addresses. These are simple responses, but they can also get very sophisticated in terms of what the responses would be. Then there's remediation. So you have response, then you have remediation. If anything needs to get done to patch the system, to upgrade for anything that might be a vulnerability, all of those things are provided to you. More often than not, it's not going to do the remediation for you, but it's going to tell you that, hey, based on this root cause, this is what you should do to fix your system and to make sure that this doesn't happen again. And then it'll just create a report for you. The reporting part of it is really amazing because it just creates this unbelievably detailed report with pulling all of the data that it used from threat intelligence to enrich the stuff and say it's based on these different resources that we think that this is a threat, this is the triage that we have, this is what you should do to respond, or this is what I did to respond, speaking on behalf of the tool, this is what the tool did to respond to this, and it was blocked, blocked these IP addresses, and then this is what we think you should do for remediation. All of that is going to be generated by the tool for you inside a beautiful PDF document that you can send to your stakeholders or your CEO, whatever. Very, very, very cool. So the factors are this. So when you're understanding all the aspects of this, it could be managed from a single platform. The notable factors would be when you're trying to find a SOAR solution for yourself, right? So the notable factors would be the open integration with existing tools that you have out of the box. So future integrations with new or custom technologies should be considered if you're trying to bring new technologies into your infrastructure. But whether or not you can integrate with all the tools that you already got, that's one big thing, right? Will it actually integrate? That's kind of the question. With the tools that we're already using, can we use this SOAR tool to integrate with all of our current tools? If we can't use it, why would we get this SOAR tool? Like, we need something that actually integrates with all the stuff that we're getting for our logs and our SIM, so on and so forth. Hopefully, they have a streamlined collaboration or a smooth handoff, escalation to support day-to-day SOC operations, maybe a GitHub repository, maybe an actual customer service team, something that'll help you get the kind of kinks worked out. The dashboards that provide the analysts with capabilities should be fairly simple to use. You should have the capabilities to build something, to customize something, test playbooks to improve the incident response process. Key performance indicator is what a KPI stands for. So a role-based KPI dashboard and reporting hopefully are available to support measuring and improving the SOC performance. So this should be available when you're considering your SOAR solution. And then automatically correlate and combine related alerts from multiple tools to minimize false positives and eliminate alert fatigue on analysts. That's the kind of the whole goal of this, right? So to minimize alert fatigue, to make the job of the analyst easier so that they can actually focus their limited brain bandwidth on really important things. That's kind of the purpose of a SOAR solution. All right, here are our questions. So it says the act of connecting and integrating security tools and systems into seamless workflows is known as security orchestration. Let me see if I can spell that right. There we go. And then what do we call a predefined list of actions to handle an incident? And that is called a playbook or a runbook. In this case, it's a playbook. So there we go. All right, making some decent progress here. So let's move on to our next piece, which is the workflow of a SOAR. All right, depending on what the incident is, there's going to be different workflows, right? So in this particular case, I think the big thing that we're looking at are the phishing workflow. I think that's the big piece that we're looking at. So the scenario would be this, right? So, the THM Corp employees have recently received numerous suspicious emails and have reported them to the SOC team. As the lead analyst, you wish to develop an automated workflow to analyze email files and perform case management using various security tools. Because if your tool can analyze the email file, it'll either just block the email from being sent, or it's going to send it to spam or send it to the phishing folder, whatever it is. And the human being on the receiving side of that email will never even see that email. and it'll just make the job of the security team so much easier. You don't have to train people to do anything. It just simply just blocks the emails, right? I mean, you should probably train your people anyway, but it'll just block malicious emails because it detects what's happening inside of the email and just sends it to the appropriate folder and never gets to the user's inbox. Phishing attacks are the most common attack vector used in breaches. Social engineering is a really big deal because the systems are getting pretty secure, and the weakest element of any security infrastructure is the human being because we make human errors. So, for security analysts, investigating phishing emails becomes time consuming and involves manual exercises like analyzing attachments and URLs. That's where SOAR Solutions can do these things for you. It'll do it in the background while other investigations are ongoing, and remediation can be performed when a positive phishing email is identified. Hence, block the email. Don't send it to the user. Just send it to the spam folder and report the sender and report the attachment and the hash value, so on and so forth. So what it looks like is this, right? The email has been received and it's isolated in a sandbox environment prepared for this specific type of an event, a phishing event. The trigger is executed to create a ticket on case management solution like the Hive, as we talked about it, and this will allow for better documentation and follow-up on the incident. Then it parses the email for URLs or attachments or any kind of indicator of compromise, and if anything like that is present, it's going to be extracted, and then the hash values of that are going to be generated for those extracted attachments. A virus total trigger is executed to analyze those URLs and file hashes to make sure, hey, does something already exist? Can somebody verify that this is actually a malicious URL? And in the event that there are no results from virus total, a manual email analysis has to be done to ensure that whether or not it's malicious. And then the malicious outcomes from an automated manual analysis trigger a deletion of the malicious email and a communication notification to the organization, and probably reporting as well. And the incident ticket is updated with the indicators of compromised results, and reports are generated, and the workflow is over. And that's basically what it looks like inside of one shot right here. The email comes in, simultaneously an investigation ticket goes out, and then the URLs of the attachments are contained. And then if the URL has some kind of attachment, if it doesn't have it, it goes to the user or over Slack channel, so on and so forth. If it does have it, if it contains an attachment, it goes through this. If it contains an URL, it goes through this. The attachment computes the hash. This is actually, I love visual overviews like this as well because it gives you kind of a good idea of what would happen simultaneously all at the same time. And the information just goes out the way that it is. And if it's malicious, it gets deleted. In my opinion, it should also be reported, and everybody should be aware of it, and it should be added to a blacklist. The sender should be added to a blacklist. A variety of different things should be done on top of just deleting the email. But this is how the email can be. This is all done by security orchestration. You understand? Like this previously used to have to be done by security analysts, but all of this is done automatically through the software that you would be using. And I mean, look at how much work is being done like automatically through a machine or through some kind of a software. It saves a lot of time and energy. And then we have another scenario, which is the CVE patching. So a new CVE report has been received. As the lead analyst, you need to establish a workflow that will analyze CVE details, assess its risk threshold, create a patching ticket, and test the patch before being pushed to the production environment. The CVE database, the common vulnerabilities and exposures, it's a classification list for publicly disclosed vulnerabilities. And we talked about all of this stuff in the Vulnerabilities 101 video. So if you don't know what vulnerabilities are, go check it out. It should be fairly simple to wrap your head around. But there's a video for vulnerabilities, and in case you don't know what the CVE database is or the CVSS scoring system, how do I zoom in here? CVSS scoring system. If you don't know what any of these things are, I would recommend you wrap your head around them so that you understand where the resources are, how to get access to them, and what it means for something like security orchestration automation, right? So as a security analyst, you have to always be on the lookout for publications on new CVEs and the remediation plans for those CVEs. And it can become overwhelming because there's so much stuff happening all the time. And it creates a backlog, and patches don't get applied because you have to deal with all of those things manually. And it leaves your environment more vulnerable. That's the end result of all this, is that the environment isn't secured when it should be. And this is what SOARs, again, are powerful for. They orchestrate and automate vulnerability management processes. They address critical issues based on related security advisories in the CVE database, for example, and then in a timely and efficient manner. And that's what's lovely about it. So the SOAR monitors advisory lists and pulls details, extracting any new CVE data. It queries the internal patch management system, and if the received CVE has been seen before and patched, if the CVE has been addressed, it ends the workflow. If it's not been addressed, it's going to be assessed to see if it applies to any of the assets that you have in your company. If it's applicable, a tracking ticket is created and assigned to an analyst. If not, the patch management system is updated with the information and the workflow ends. For a created ticket, the SOAR will compile a list of assets needing patching against that specific CVE. The patch management system is queried for the presence of the patch. The database is updated with the latest patch information if it's not present. The SOAR creates virtual test environments to test the patch. The patch is applied and test metrics are logged. The SOAR updates the CVE ticket with test outcomes and notes success and failure rates. The patch is deployed to production assets. Analyst verifies the rollout, and the SOAR conducts a vulnerability scan against all those assets to see if it's still there. If it's not, the analyst develops and deploys a mitigation plan if the assets are still vulnerable. The CVE ticket is closed, vulnerabilities are cleared, patch management is updated, and the CVE has been addressed. And this is much kind of like a longer workflow. I can't really look at it. Let me see if I open it up like this. Yeah, it doesn't really help. I mean, these are basically the steps, right? These are the steps that we just went through, and you can kind of understand what those steps are. But that's how it works on the CVE side of things. So look at how many of these things are done by the SOAR. It monitors the advisory list and pulls anything from the CVE database. Then it queries the internal patch management system to see if it's been seen before and it's been patched. If it's been addressed, the workflows, and if it's not, it's going to be assessed to apply. And this is, again, done by the SOAR, right? If the CVE is applicable, the SOAR creates a ticket and sends it to an analyst. Then, if there is a CVE ticket, the SOAR will compile a list of the assets that have that specific vulnerability attached to them. And then it creates another virtual test environment to test the patch. Then it updates the CVE ticket with the test outcomes. And then the SOAR conducts a vulnerability scan against. It does all of these things for you. Do you understand how powerful this is? Like, these things are amazing. They are literally amazing. It's like essentially AI. It's basically what it is. It's an kind of artificial intelligence with permissions. Because if you can't really go set up ChatGPT as the AI, because you would need to give it permissions. You would need to get the API of GPT and then give it permissions to run through your entire network. And that's what a lot of people get, like a lot of CEOs and a lot of organizations, they get a little bit nervous about that because, okay, they're like, okay, well, I don't know what, if Microsoft is going to end up owning all of my information. I don't want to do this, right? So it's like, that's where SOARs come in, because it's a specific software. You pay for it, you deploy it in your environment, and now you still own all of that data. Nobody else is getting that data because you bought this software to deploy in your environment, and it does all of the things that it's supposed to do for you and make your life easier without relaying your information to any other party. And that's why it's so powerful. It's basically AI. It's basically an automated response type of a system, and it's freaking amazing. So are manual analyses vital within a SOAR workflow? I would say nay. Well, yay it is. So we do still need to do a manual analysis. Well, that does make sense, because you don't want to completely rely on the SOAR. So now let's look at this thing, right? So this is what we have on our deployed site on the right here. And this is a threat intelligence workflow practical application that we're going to use based on all the information that we just learned. And let's apply it and see what we get. All right, here's the scenario. You are a SOC lead who has recently faced a large breach investigation that took ages to complete due to a lack of automation. McSkitty recently advised you to adopt a SOAR and set up automation workflows to help the security investigation. McSkitty sent you a checklist for threat intelligence integration workflow, and your task is to figure out how it works. So that's what we're about to do. To automate the process, use the different screens to activate the elements required for the SOAR workflow. Run and test the workflow until you obtain a smooth transition and of course get the flag. So here we go. We're going to zoom in right here. Let me see if I can zoom in by double clicking. I can. Awesome. All right, cool. So here we go. The objective is to simulate the actions of automation in a SOC environment through toggling various settings. You'll have to enable disable in order to get the right combination of events. Okay, so it says adjust the settings for automated manual workflows to adopt a SOAR and set up automation workflows that will help you in your security investigation. We have the case ticket, threat intelligence, data extraction, reputation checks, and course of action. So case ticket, integrate case management workflow. Use the settings to integrate threat intel workflow. Okay. All right. That's basically what it says. So let me see what I can do here. All right. So here's our case ticket. It says the creating of a case ticket is manual. Communicate case ticket is manual. Delete case ticket is manual. Assign case ticket manual. All these things are the pieces of it. Now, what can I do here? Can I drag this or do anything? No. All right. So this is what we got. Oh, I see. So I can turn this on and off. I see. So creating the case ticket could be automated. Communicating the case ticket should be automated. This should be automated. Assigning the case ticket should be automated. And updating the case ticket should be automated. And that's what we've left over here. I don't know if that's right or wrong, but I guess we'll find out. So threat intelligence right here. So it says fetch new incident alerts. I'm going to say that's automated. Set the fetch intervals, that should be manual. Failed fetch notifications should be automated. Discard old alerts should be automated. And we're going to do that. And do we drag this on here? No. That's all we get. Okay, so there we go. And then if I click run, I see. Okay, good. All right, so data extraction. Extract domains, that should be automated. Extract IPs should be automated. URLs should be extracted. Analysis. Analyst extraction. So analyst data extraction for unknown new threat lookups. I want to say that should be automated too. So the analyst extraction, the data extraction for unknown or new threat lookups, that should be, I think, no, that's actually by the analyst, because the CVE database and all these things would be where the SOAR operates. So it shouldn't know unknown things, because if it's unknown, it doesn't have access to that in its threat intelligence feed. So we're going to leave that. Reputation check. So the reputation results output, that should definitely be automated. Analyst validation should not be automated. Sandbox testing should be automated. And course of action. So block domains, yes. Block URLs, yes. Analyst approved COA should be done by the analyst. Block IPs, yes. Update case tickets, yes. And let's run it. Okay, so it's saying the case ticketing is incorrect. So let's see if that's what we got. So create case ticket, use services such as the Hive ServiceNow. That should be automated. Case management assignment, I feel like that should be automated too. Update case ticket should be automated. Communicate case tickets such as email and Slack, maybe not that part. Delete case ticket should be automated. So let's try this again. Okay, so all right, so here's what I'm gonna show you the official combination. And I'll show you which ones actually worked and how the whole thing was set up. I think it should have reset it. Yeah, I think it did reset it. So yeah, here we go. So from all of these, the ones that should be checked are, so you want to automate create case ticket, the communicating it, assign the case ticket, update it, the deleting of the case ticket, which this is what the answer was, but I feel like based on the information that we just got, it should also delete the case ticket for us, but this is what was required for the case management settings, and these were the ones that we had to automate, right? For threat intelligence, everything was automated with the exception of this last piece, which is discarding the old alerts. So again, I feel like it should do that automatically, but we're moving on with that as well. And then we have data extraction. And all of these things were automated with the exception of the last piece, which is the analyst extraction. This one I basically didn't touch the entire time. It was the same. And then we have reputation checks. And for reputation checks, the only thing that was automated was the results output. The sandbox testing was actually manual. And the analyst validation, because the analyst has to validate it, that was also left as manual. And then finally, we had the course of action. And all of these were also correct. So it was the block domains, block IPs, update case ticket, all of that stuff was good. And then the analyst had to just approve the last piece. So that was supposed to be manual. And that was it. And then we run it. And then you see the thing goes through perfectly. And then it gives us the flag. So that was the the variety of things. But I will say, just based on what we read, I feel like that the things that, with the exception of like the analyst validation, a lot of those things like delete the ticket or whatever, that I feel like it should be automated, because that's what it kind of showed us in the workflows that we were using. And it just feels like, deleting something after it's been done, that should be done by the SOAR as well. But, whatever. We'll just leave that as what it is. And that was it. We are now, the conclusion is the conclusion, and that's very, very simple. So that was it. That was like our intro to the SOAR concept, and that's actually the last piece of the detection engineering module as well. So we are officially done with detection engineering, and now we're going to go into threat hunting, which is going to be our very next video. And that one's actually, it seems like it's going to be a little bit more exciting, because we're going to be doing a lot of actual hunting. So I'm very excited about what's going to be going on in the next series of videos that were coming out. And this is still all under SOC Level 2, and we still got a good amount of stuff to work on for SOC Level 2. So should be exciting. I'm really excited about it. Hopefully you got value out of this video, and now you have a better understanding of what a SOAR software or a SOAR resource solution looks like. If you got value out of this video, and if you want to get more videos like this one, I do encourage you to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so that you get notified the next time that a video comes out. And of course, I really want you to get involved in our comment section. The comment section is very, very live and active, and people, they drop comments all the time. There's a lot of thank yous and this was awesome and things like that, and I respond to everything, by the way. But there's also questions that come in, and literally conversations that happen where it's like we just go back and forth inside the comment section, and I answer a lot of the questions that come in, because I want to be as helpful as I can to you specifically. And then if you ask a really good question, then I'll go ahead and create a video to answer your specific request or your specific question. For example, this specific video was created based on a request that was made by one of our paid members in Hackaholics Anonymous. And I've made videos for people who aren't a paid member, so I don't want you to feel like you have to be a Hackaholics Anonymous member for me to do this, because if the question is good enough and if the concept about it is valuable enough, then I'll make a video to answer that question. And then what's interesting is that it gets very well received. And, for this channel, getting 19,000 views in 13 days on a video is actually a big deal, because most of the videos get a few hundred, or let's say if it's like decent, it'll get 1,000 views or something. So to get 19,000, that means this was actually a very popular video amongst all of our members, amongst the overall community, and it brought a lot of people again in the comment section, and people were dropping a lot of responses. So this is what I mean when I say please drop a comment. If you have a question, ask your question. There is no such thing as a stupid question. I will answer all the questions. And if it's a big question, then I'll create a video to answer that question for you. And there's been so far a handful of videos that have been created just to answer the questions that came in from the comment section. If you just want to say hi, and I'll say hi back to you. And anything like that, I welcome all of the comments. But if you have a question, please drop your question. I want to create content for you specifically, not just things that I think would be cool or whatever, which I'll probably end up doing anyway. But I do want to create things for you specifically to help you along your path in cybersecurity and pen testing and hacking, so on and so forth. So I do encourage you to definitely drop your comments, like the channel, subscribe, all that good stuff. And I do want to hear from you in the comment section, so definitely make sure to say hi. And of course, Hackaholics Anonymous, there's the plug. I want this community to grow, because the bigger that it gets, the more we are able to create specific content for you guys. And this will be things like automation for security, for cybersecurity, for pen testing, for system administration, literally Python automations, scripts that are created to give away so that it makes your life easier and you can become more valuable when you go to your job application and you want to apply to a SysAdmin or a cybersecurity analyst job. You can say, yeah, I have this stack of automations that I've collected, and you can literally say that you created them, so long as you know what they do and you can explain what they do. that would be a really good thing that you should do, or you can do, in my opinion. Then there's the bug bounties that we join forces on. There's live streams that are only for the members. There's the Discord chats that the members get access to. There are so many things that I love giving away to our members, because you guys have made this channel what it is, and I want you to get value genuinely from this channel. And it's going to be, mark my words, Hackaholics Anonymous is going to be the premier YouTube community for people who are in security and for hackers, and I would love to see you as a part of that community. So definitely check it out. Check out all the different perks that are available, and the link to join that community is also in the description of that video. And yeah, that's it for my plug for Hackaholics Anonymous. This is your boy Hank Hackerson at Hank Hacks Hackers, your favorite network and system attacker / protector. We are getting pretty close to 10,000 subs, and I'm gonna have to reveal my face fairly soon. So I'm excited to see you in the community. If no one else loves you, Hank loves you. Love, peace, and chicken grease, and I will see you in the next video. Later.